Please don't forget to subscribe.
By boat, because there's all these one-way systems, so we actually have to go through the tunnel and come back. We're now gonna go below the water. So we are going to enter the eye tunnel. Goes below the water, one of the masterpieces of Dutch engineering. You see Science Museum, so we go right below Science Museum. Yeah, this is not normal, but you know, in Amsterdam is not possible to do the sightseeing by coach anymore because there are all these narrow streets, and the best way to see the city is from the boat, which is also the reason why we have our Canal cruise included. Okay, so when we get to the boat pier, I will introduce you to Iris, who is our local guide, and she will do some commentary on the boat. So we have a boat reserved for our group that will be about 1 hour, and you will get to the diamond factory around 1 o'clock. Then I'll get on the boat and tell you exactly what time to be ready and where, so we'll have about 1 hour and 20 minutes, 1 hour and a half at the diamond place, because there maybe you don't care about diamonds, then you can skip the diamond explanation if you have been already there. You can also get complimentary tea or coffee. No diamonds, free of charge, no complimentary diamonds. And then there's some eating places also, and I will tell you what time to be ready. Okay, it will be about 2:20ish, 2:20ish, just to give you some idea. So you see, we'll have to get out here and then
So right now we're on the original River Amstel, and that was the only natural waterway that we have here. All the canals that we're going to see, they were actually man-made. And the reason for that, most importantly, is water management. Because Amsterdam is basically built to swamplands. In order to construct something in the city of Amsterdam, you have to put wooden poles in the floor first. The first layer of sand is actually 10 meters below. So wooden poles in the floor first, and then you can actually start construction. However, what happens is that at certain times, some of these wooden poles, if the water level changes, start to rot. And what we don't get is something that sounds very cute, the dancing canal houses. It really isn't cute. And we're going to see a beautiful example of a couple of dancing canal houses in a little while on our right hand side. It actually starts at Café Mulligan's, where you see the Irish flag, and all the houses to the left of it are the dancing canal houses. So in a little while we're going to see it. We see Café Mulligan's already over here, and then all the houses to the left are the dancing canal houses. We actually put apparatus in between, trying to keep the houses upright, keep them straight, keep them stable. Especially the house next to Mulligan's, you get a clear idea of the dancing canal houses. I'm happy to report that these houses are stable, but they will never be straight again. To make them stable, you have to go underneath the house and pour some concrete. The gay area. So I always tell my students one thing is if you had a drink too many, those houses look perfectly normal. That's how they do it. So right now we're going to turn onto the outer skirts and go into the canal system. So as already said, this is the original River Amstel. And the city was named after the Amstel and the dam that they built into it. So for a long time the city was known as Amsterdam. Even Dutch people had issues pronouncing that, so it's changed to Amsterdam over time. So the area that's going to be on my right hand side, you actually see the black memorial right over there, and this was a former Jewish neighborhood. So in 1940, the Netherlands became occupied by the Nazis. The war, of course, started in 1939, and this was a flourishing Jewish neighborhood. However, just before the war, we had a very active administration who kept track of where everybody was living, but also their nationalities and everything. So once the Netherlands was taken over, after the Nazis had sent an ultimatum, the Nazis, all they had to do was look at the papers and find where all the Jewish people were living. So many of the Jewish people were taken from these houses, brought to Central Station and put on trains, deported to concentration camps. Towards the end of the war in 1944, the south of the Netherlands had already been liberated. The north of the Netherlands had not been. 1945. We're actually suffering from a hunger winter. So what happened is many people went into these empty standing houses, got all the wooden panels and everything out of it in order to keep them warm during the winter. However, by the end of the war, these houses were about to collapse. So they decided to tear them all down and actually replace all of them over here. So I'm happy to report that we have a flourishing Jewish community once again. However, it's in a different location. If you go over this square, you actually come to the Jewish Quarter, where you can see the Portuguese synagogue, visit the Jewish Museum, and learn more about it in case you're interested. So I often get questions: how deep are canals? Canals are approximately, the way people of Amsterdam say it, it's 3 feet of mud, 3 feet of bicycles, 3 feet of water. Approximately 12 to 15 bicycles get into the water each year. We know that's the exact number because we have a company called Waternet who actually has to pick up all the bicycles every single year. And then people ask me, how do I end up in the water? Well, bicycles, we have 850,000 inhabitants, we have over 1 million bicycles. And what happens is people park their bicycles, and these people have actually been wise. They have been attaching them to the railings. Some people don't, they fall in, they go down, and there we go. Well, the average Dutch person has over 3 bicycles. I have 3 myself, one ugly one that I take into the city. There's a lot of bicycle theft. Don't worry, you can buy a bag for 25 euros at the local flea market, so you get a bag eventually. Then I have a nice one that I take around on the parks, and then I have one for friends and family come over. So right now, here on the left and right hand side, you see some locked doors. We're going to see a couple of locked doors because they were able to close off the canals in the past. We actually also used the tides to wash out the canals in the past, because in the 17th century they were used for water management, trades, and an open sewer system. Anything and everything went into the water. Amsterdam at that time was not known as the Venice of the North. It was known as the beautiful lady with the very stinky breath. So we've improved our reputation eventually. Another thing you're going to see here are all these called houseboats. Houseboats is something that was born out of necessity, and it was born in the 1950s because there was not too much space for people to live in. So people turned actual barges into places to live in. Later we also get the more modern versions. So for instance, these have more the rectangular shape and they're actually designed to live on the canals. But most people that start living onto these houseboats, they were not attached to the sewer system or the electricity or the gas. So the city of Amsterdam wanted to control what was happening on the water. So one of the things they started doing was to give out permits. Permits determined where you were located, so you could not move around the canals. Permits also determined that you were attached to the sewer system, to the electricity, and to the water system as well. Excuse me. And the last, we have a very special houseboat coming up here on our left-hand side. This is one. Yes, it is concrete actually, and this houseboat was used to transport ammunition with. So that's why the walls are very thick, and it actually has 2 floors. The tower that you see here to the left of me, that tower is called Crazy Jack. And Crazy Jack was suffering from the same problems that those dancing canal houses were. The wooden poles underneath him started to sink into the ground, and he started to lean a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. Therefore, he was telling time wrong. So what happened was, instead of saying it's 1:30, he actually says 1:42. And that's how he earned the nickname Crazy Jack. He's perfectly straight once again. However, he never lost his nickname. So here we see his beautiful tower. Yes, we pay taxes on everything. 1/3 of my salary goes to taxes. Yes. Alright, now we're going to move more towards open water. Our captain actually did a brilliant suggestion that we're going to go in front of Central Station, so we see a little bit of the open water. So this is the canal system. We have 4 major ones. The most outer one is called the Prince Canal. Next to it we have the Empress Canal, we have the Gentleman's Canal, and the Single. The Single was dug in one go in the 15th century. The 3 other ones were dug in the 17th century into different phases. So that was actually not immediately going around. However, the entire city appeared on a drawing board. So everything was thought out. Nothing was a coincidence, and it also was done on a purpose. Because if you look at Amsterdam on a map, it has this beautiful half-moon shape, almost a perfect circle. Done on a purpose, because people in Amsterdam thought that Amsterdam was the center of the universe in the 17th century. The people of Amsterdam, by the way, still think that is the case. Dikes and dunes, and lots of water management. That's how we keep the water out. We have many pumps, and in the past we have 9,000 windmills. So the building that's coming up here on your right-hand side, the beautiful rectangular white building, is now known as the Maritime Museum. But actually what it was the headquarters of the East India Company. That's where they had all their storage, so their sails and all kinds of ropes. In the past also ammunition, but one time it flooded, so they decided not to do that anymore. The ship in front of it, that's a replica of the ship, the Amsterdam, from the 17th century. It's 4 times smaller than it actually was. The Amsterdam is a very sad story. It actually